folks, welcome to our City Matters. We have a special guest today. His name is John Burt. He's a state rep, wonderful state rep in the state of New Hampshire. I brought him on the show today because he is on the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee. So he'll have a view from that aspect as a legislator and as a public servant of the topic that we have today. So what caught my eye today, for the show today, was a woman by the name of Janice Rutherford. And she is the San Bernardino County Supervisor. Now, I hate to bring up San Bernardino. You know, I mean, we've heard enough of it. But because I have John on today, and I know that he has a perspective to share with us, that we can follow with this short clip. But before I do that, I just want to introduce John and let him say hi. Hi, John.
Well, Deborah, I want to thank you for having me. You know, it's such a pleasure to be here.
I appreciate you being here and speaking to the folks in the city of Manchester.
Yes.
And I know that we're not your district.
No, but I traveled the whole state. What I tell everybody is that I am a state representative. I serve the state. You know, I do look after Goffstown, Weare, and Dearne to make sure they're okay, but if the state is happy, then my community will be happy, and hopefully everybody else is also.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that. And so because you're on the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee, that I thought this would be you know, a good topic to cover with your input.
Yep.
So Joe, I think it's Joe today, you could run that clip. I'd greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Josie. The purpose of terrorism is to make ordinary people afraid to do the ordinary things that make up their lives. Last Wednesday was an ordinary day in San Bernardino County. It was a day when a group of our employees were gathered to celebrate their accomplishments of the last year and to get some training about how to do their jobs even better. These were dedicated public servants. They weren't politicians, they weren't celebrities, they weren't law enforcement officers, they weren't soldiers, but they became the front line in a battle against terrorists. To honor them, to express our gratitude for their unimaginable sacrifice, we have to fight to maintain that ordinary. We can't be afraid of our lives, of our community, of our neighbors, of our coworkers. We have to have the strength to continue. Our employees are going back to work today because while they are ordinary people, they are also extraordinary people who are overcoming their fear and returning to the dedicated public service that they give every single day. We stand with them to tell the terrorists, you may not have our fear, you may not have our liberty, and you may not have our love. Those are the things that make us different and distinct. That love for each other is what will give us the hope and the strength and the resilience to embrace the ordinary again and to let all of our employees give their extraordinary public service.
Okay, that was quite interesting, and it caught my ire, I think, some of what she was talking about.
Yes.
How do you feel about that video, John?
Well, I see the video, and you know, my prayers and heart just goes out to the victims out there. But what I look at is, I don't understand why she said that they're on the front lines of terrorism. I mean, you know, they weren't. They were sitting ducks. Their government, you know, California, does not allow these people to protect themselves. And what I mean by protect themselves is to carry a gun. You know, I'm sure somebody in that building would have liked to carry that day, but their laws and rules do not allow it. And, you know, so I don't understand. I just, you know, with her saying that they were the front lines, you know, in this fight against terrorism. And then also she says, you know, that they were there for an accomplishment for, the party was for their accomplishments for last year. Well, from what I understand, it was a Christmas party. And I think that's really, it needs to be said that it was a Christmas party, not a party for accomplishments. We need to say what it is. And sadly, there are some bad Muslims in this country that want to do us harm. And they were allowed to, purchase legally these guns and bring them illegally into California and do the mayhem they did. And again, my prayers and thoughts, I just can't imagine what they went through. Especially, I look even at the France situation, from what I understand is that some of the callers, in the theater, they were calling the police, they were saying, hurry, please, hurry. They're pecking us off one at a time. And not one person in that theater could have a gun, because all it would have taken is one. One person could have stopped this, or at least slowed it down.
We just can't leave our responsibility for being vigilant to the security guard down at the door downstairs, or you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
They are not the only one that can protect all of us.
No. Well, look at where was that? Out in Colorado, that high school that got shot up. There was 2 policemen in there, on the other side of the building. So even when they're there, and I know our police are going to do what they can to protect us, but they are minutes away. So I encourage everybody, if you are a law-abiding citizen, to carry a sidearm. Especially during these times. I think, especially in the next couple months.
The threat is there.
Yes. Yeah, I think we're going to see some issues because of Christmas and the New Year's, and I think this is the time the bad terrorists, the bad Muslims of this country, they want to strike, and we need to call it for what it is.
Well, it's the only so-called religion that has, at this point, this radical ideology to do away with America and to kill us and wipe us off the face of the earth, as well as some of our allies.
And it has nothing to do with global warming.
No.
Well, that's what some say. Even our own government, even our own president was saying, if we could correct the global warming, we could fix this problem. This Bill Nye said that too. He said that if we had water in these countries, the rain, without the global warming, these men, instead of coming to kill us, they'd want to be in the fields.
Right.
And I'm like, really?
Well, we do need some good citizens that will, be diligent and vigilant.
Yes.
And being there when time warrants.
Yes.
With their arms.
Absolutely.
And so love on the front lines, I'm sorry, is not going to cut it.
No.
As she said, she's, love.
Yeah.
If we could all just get along, just love each other. Well, yeah, but unfortunately we have an enemy.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
And I did see behind her, there was a great big sign that said, "In God We Trust." It was like, wow, geez, in a government building, that's allowed, which I'm glad to see that. I was very happy to see that.
Wow.
But I think that was added. I'm pretty sure that wasn't there all the time. I'd love to see other press releases because I'm sure it wasn't.
Right. So in the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee, you must see everything and anything that comes through for bills trying to thwart our rights.
Yes.
To arms and right to carry, concealed carry.
Yep. Yeah, we passed, the House passed the Senate bill that allowed a constitutional carry where you wouldn't need a license. It went to the Senate, it came from the Senate, and it went to the House, and we passed it. It got on the governor, and sadly she vetoed it.
Oh, that's right, she vetoed it.
Yeah, we have another bill we just passed out of committee, very well numbers, and the numbers on the House floor looks like it will pass again, and then it will go to the Senate, which I'm being told they have the numbers to pass a House bill identical to what she just vetoed. And I am a co-sponsor of that bill.
Okay, and exactly, what does that say exactly?
What it does is you don't have to go to the government and beg them to carry a gun concealed. Right now, you have to. You have to go to your police or your selectmen and say, may I exercise my Second Amendment by carrying a gun hidden? Well, this would just do away. Vermont's had it since day one.
Okay.
For over 200 years, and Maine just passed it, and I think there are 6 or 7 other states that have it. I'd have to check that number.
Okay.
But it just, you don't have to go and beg the government to exercise a right. I mean, when I want to, as you have freedom of speech here. You don't go see the selectmen and get a permit to do this.
No.
Yeah.
And it's just like you can carry without concealing
Open carry
on
is
top
legal.
of your coat,
Yes.
but the minute you put it under your coat,
Yes.
you got to get permission.
Yes.
And, well, people will say, well, maybe it's because you need a background check to carry under your coat, but you don't need a background check to carry over your coat. Is that true?
Well, I think there is that argument, but what is the difference? And what I always say is, geez, those darn criminals, they just forget to go and get the license. So why are they carrying and the law abiding? And that's really what gun laws are, is really restricts law abiding citizens.
Exactly.
It has nothing to, those terrorists out in Chicago, there's, I think, 60, 80 shootings a weekend with 30 deaths every weekend.
And those folks don't go asking permission.
No, they never go
Right,
ask.
right.
Yeah.
So if a person is considering, okay, well, maybe I should consider buying a firearm and concealed carry, what do you think they should do first? I mean, what is the process of maybe getting, first you say they need to go to their police chief, put an application in for conceal.
Well, if they want to conceal it.
Right.
But if they want to just leave it at home or open carry, they don't need a license.
Okay.
But what I really recommend everybody to do is, purchase a firearm if you are not a felon and you're legally allowed to buy a firearm. They range anywhere from $300 and you can go up to whatever you want. Carry that firearm, but get training. Mm-hmm. Google gun training in your local area, and there's a bunch of places that will train you. And start right from basic training and go all the way up to the expert training. And that will really make a big difference in the situation where a terrorist comes into your building. Or even just a nut comes into your building. He doesn't have to be a terrorist. I mean, mm-hmm. just a nut that's off his, sadly, there's a bunch of them that could be off their medicine or whatever is mm-hmm. his problem or their problem. And, I just say, get the training so that way you know how to act quickly.
So these training centers, how many do we have in New Hampshire?
Oh, there's dozens throughout
Really?
the state, yes.
And I know the women also have their training centers.
Women Defense League, yeah, mm-hmm. yeah. Google that. I'm very good friends with most of them because I'm on the Criminal Justice Committee, so they want to stay friendly with us, and which I support everything they do anyway. So
right.
Yeah, but there's a ton of it out there. So I mean, if you're just a single woman or even a mom that says, you know what, I think it's time for me to protect my children, an extra step. Mm-hmm. I know moms will protect their children right to the end, but this would just give them an advantage, especially on a big, burly, 300-pound drugged out man. Mm-hmm. What's a 130-pound woman going to do? And
when you go to training, then you learn how to carry.
Yes.
You learn where the best place on your body
Yes.
is to carry.
Absolutely.
And how to manage the firearm in an emergency.
Yes.
So I mean, it's comforting actually to have this discussion and to know that, I mean, there's thousands of people in the state that are carrying.
Oh, tens of thousands. Oh, yeah. New Hampshire's, mm-hmm. We're usually 2 or 3rd safest state in the nation.
Okay. Well, those terrorists didn't come and live in New Hampshire and try that here.
No. Because, I think one of the reasons, and I don't want to give out our secrets, but I think they know that we're heavily armed. Where are they going to be attacking first? They're going to be attacking in New York City. They're going to attack, in California, Chicago, mm-hmm. places where there's gun control. D.C., that's where they're going to want to mm-hmm. attack. They're not going to go to a heavily armed state like Wyoming and Vermont and Alaska and mm-hmm. New Hampshire and Maine. A lot of people carry sidearms. Mm-hmm. And I think the terrorists and even the bad guys, the robbers, they look at that, right down to the bottom small break-ins.
Mm. They calculate.
Yes, yeah, they want an easy target. And what they also want, too, is they want to be able to enter a building and know that they have 7 to 10 minutes before the police get there. And even though the police are outside for 5 minutes, let's say they show up in 3 minutes, they have to organize. They have to say, okay, how are we going to enter this building? I mean, there's a whole protocol to keep them safe, because they don't know what's on the other side.
Well, it was less than 10 minutes, wasn't it, in San Bernardino?
Oh, yes, they were there quick.
In, do the damage,
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
And if that person had not seen that black SUV,
absolutely.
who knows where these people would be today?
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Yeah, they could have got out of the country, sadly.
Exactly, huh? Who knows what they were planning?
Yeah.
But anyhow, I do appreciate, this time together. And,
Yes.
I mean, are there any other thoughts you have for the public here in Manchester? I mean, I think the numbers, I think they're coming down for crime in New Hampshire, in Manchester.
Oh, yes, they are. Yeah.
And I know when I got my concealed permit, the lines were out the door at the police station.
They're saying that the police are having a hard time keeping up, which, I laugh and I go, thank you, God
Right.
bless America,
Right.
because I do, and I hope people get the training. That's what they really need. Deborah, I did watch a video. I should have sent it to you. There's this new training, and I haven't studied this, so I'm not encouraging anybody to do this, but to just Google the YouTube video of it. They're almost saying that we should charge the terrorists now. And when I first thought it was like, what? I want to duck behind a desk somewheres. But they showed this video. They showed an attacker coming in with a gun, and there was 30 people there, and 20 of them charged that person. Now, in doing that, 4 of them, or 5, whatever was in the video, I can't remember, ended up dead. But they got to the guy, put him on the ground, and he couldn't shoot anymore. And I'm thinking, wow, maybe that is the way we have to go. So, I want to look into this more, because maybe we... doesn't it make sense if you charge the... how... But you got to be
Rather
really
than
brave.
fear. Yeah, exactly.
Because, like they said, if you fear and just run away, he's just going to pew, 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 peck one at a time off, and we're all dead.
I think that's what our good citizens are doing on airplanes.
Well, I think that's what they did in Pennsylvania. That's what I heard, that the terrorists were overtaken by the people of the airplane.
And when we see civilians helping the stewardesses
Yes.
to subdue somebody, that's just, something happened to them and they're just
Yeah.
not ruly on the plane.
Yeah.
And citizens are having to react.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, you can't pull out a firearm on a plane. That's not
No,
too cool.
no. But I did see another video real quick, too, is where this gentleman, there was a carjacking, and he held the guy at gunpoint. And the second the police showed up, he knew that the guy was going to stay on the ground. He immediately put the gun down on the ground, and he says, "Officer, my gun's right there." And and what it does, it just shows the police, or reholster it, do
That you're not the threat.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, the
we're
guy on the
threats, so
ground. Yeah. So
exactly.
we do need to help our police understand, because they're they're looking at the situation. And,
Well, it's like when you're stopped. What do you think about when a traffic violation,
yeah.
and you're carrying, or you have your firearm in the console or in the glove compartment or someplace? Should you tell the officer that there's a weapon in the car?
I personally do not, and I won't. Yeah, Maine, unfortunately, in their constitutional carry, you have to up in Maine now. If you get stopped and you're concealing. If you're open carrying, you don't have to tell them. But in concealed carry, you do. And there's only a few states that do that. I think what that does is it just it makes the policeman nervous more. I think the policemen, like my police friends in Vermont, because that's where I'm from, they go to every vehicle knowing that everybody is carrying.
Okay, yeah.
And that's what our police should do. And for me to say, "Oh, officer, I got a gun here," I think it just, enhances, their nerves and go, "Oh, okay."
I think they already do assume it.
They should. Yeah, I hope
already.
they do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that 99% is going to
Yeah.
be a firearm in the car.
Well, I know when the governor vetoed the bill, when the bill was in our committee, the constitutional carry bill was in our committee, they kept saying that we needed the constitutional, we needed the license so that way we knew who was carrying. Well, then a representative says, excuse me, the law states that you aren't supposed to look at these records to know who's carrying.
Oh, like a database.
Yes, a database.
Okay, yeah.
And they go, oh, we don't. Yeah, we don't do that.
Right. So they want to register.
Yeah.
A registry.
Yeah, some
those.
do.
Well, I mean, the Manchester Police Department, I mean, when they stop you and they do your license check, aren't they going through the registry to see if you're get a permit to carry or?
Legally, they're not supposed to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I know in many towns, if you have a dispatcher, which I think Manchester does, they'll have the names right on the side somewheres, and they'll, if it's a Manchester resident,
Right.
yeah, so they'll
Right.
say, yeah, he's carrying, or possible
he has a
carrying.
permit,
Yeah,
yeah.
he has a permit. Yeah,
But
license.
just because you get a permit, folks, doesn't mean you have to own a gun. It doesn't
No.
mean you have to, think about carrying a gun. But it gives you the opportunity, at least I feel it gives me the
Yes.
opportunity
Yes.
to handle a firearm.
Yeah.
Okay, I can go to the range with my husband. We can have all the guns in the car. He can leave the car,
Yeah.
and I still can cover those firearms.
Absolutely.
Whereas if he leaves the car and I'm in the car without a permit,
Yes.
now I have some problem, right?
Then you're in trouble.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, Deborah, because I've got a few of my friends that every now and then my stepson or somebody will borrow my truck, and I'll say, get your concealed license.
Exactly.
Just in case I forget my sidearm in my console, which most of the time I don't.
Right.
But, if I'm in the house real quick and I'm going back out, I might, but my doors are locked. I might leave it there. And if they come and say, hey, John, I just need the truck to go to Home Depot or the hardware store for something. And, if that gun's there, they're in trouble. But if they have a license, then there's no issue.
Because the gun is concealed in the car.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's good. Very good advice for the viewers.
right, right.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, well, I think we need to think twice about what happened in San Bernardino. I know we've
Yes.
been on the news now 100 times, but if from this point of view, I thought it was important to bring it up that we are responsible for our safety.
We are the front lines first. They call the police and other people first responders. We're really the first responders. They come in and clean the mess up.
Right.
And
And who
sadly-
wants to be on the front lines with no
Yeah.
equipment?
Yeah. And
Right.
it's their government. California put these people at an unsafe advantage.
What do you think about some, like the post office? No firearms, a sign, no firearms in the
Yeah,
post office.
No, I think if you're law-abiding, I think you should be able to allow it to be carried.
So there's no federal law that says, is that just an establishment's law that says you can't come in here with a gun? I mean, private retailers can say, we don't want you in here with your gun or something. I mean,
Yes.
can't they?
Yes, they can. The movie theaters in New Hampshire, some of them have gone gun-free.
Oh,
Well, I encourage everybody to still carry, because the way the New Hampshire law is written is, if they see the gun on you and they say leave immediately. If you don't leave, then they'll call the police and they'll get you for trespass, but no gun violation, because there isn't one. So we are allowed to carry in gun-free zones, like movie theaters, private places like that in New Hampshire. Just carry it concealed. And then that way, if you're in that movie theater and some nut comes in, because they love gun-free zones, because, but even in New Hampshire, they're going to think twice, because they're going to be like, you know what? Yeah, John Burt and his friends, there's several of them said carry anyways. I think I'll skip this movie theater. I want people to know that people are carrying in these gun-free zones.
Yeah.
And it's a sad time that we have to think that way.
Right.
But it's, I don't want to be a victim.
no. don't want to be a victim, and you can't really trust someone else to save your life.
No, no, and the police are only minutes away.
Right.
Minutes away. And that's what I can't stress. And I know they want to do their best job, but they're minutes, and I can't stress those words enough.
Well, we'll do our best to roll this video through the city of Manchester
Yes,
and
well,
surrounding
thank you.
towns. We'll be having be on YouTube under Our City Matters, on Facebook also, Our City Matters.
Great.
And so I think there's a little few bits of information that's helpful here.
Yes.
And we have a couple minutes left. So if you'd like to wrap up here with some closing thoughts, or, say encourage the folks. Or...
Yeah, again, I just encourage you to get as much training as possible, that you can get. And if you're a law-abiding citizen, please carry a gun. I just cannot stress it. Just for the safety around you, and you just never know when you're going to need it. And
Now, we talked about pistols. So now the place for rifles. I mean, some people have a rifle.
Yes.
They go hunting.
Yep, a lot of people.
Do you think they should still get a pistol?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think almost everybody with a rifle does have one.
Two different animals, right?
Yes, they are very different, and they're different training on them. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll have to find a place to get trained as well.
Yeah, so there's a lot of them. Like I said, the Women's Defense League, there's a bunch of women places out there. Yeah, so make sure you check them out.
Right. And they can't be that expensive.
No, they're very inexpensive.
I think
and
one of them you just have to pay for the ammo.
It is, yeah. Yeah.
No registration,
Yeah.
no fees like that. Just pay for the ammo, bring your own, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. We appreciate you being a state rep
Well, thank you very much for having me.
in our area,
Yes.
and the good work you do there on the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee.
Yeah.
And hope to see you again sometime.
Yes, give me a call anytime. Thank you for having me, and Merry Christmas.
All right, you too, John. We'll see John next time, again on Our City Matters. Take care.